that you've been to some far places. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such...
And it's Thierry Henry. And Henry is magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. And when you need a goal, you need Thierry Henry.
Suddenly change pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp. That's magnificent.
Good evening, one and all. I don't know where Kenny's disappeared to.
He's back in. No, sorry. Oh, you know, one of the things my fish fingers just got in the way again.
Don't worry about it, mate. Yeah, guys, this is going to be a great topic tonight. This is two absolute legends of the club going to talk about this, DJ and Kenny Ken. Yeah, Lee couldn't make it tonight, people. Before he did ring up the call and say he's got a family thing he had to deal with, so he apologised, and so sadly he can't make it tonight. But we're gonna have a quick chat. I don't want to take this forever. About last night's game against the Spurs. Before we get into this amazing debate, there's going to be we've got a lot to talk about. DJ, you're at the game. Give us your breakdown, mate. What do you think? What happened? And yeah, they were shit, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I took from the game was the 3 points was important. The fact that we was a goal behind and we ended up turning them over 2-1 is always a good thing. The emergence again of Lewis Skelly, I think it's another gem that Arsenal have found from the academy there, and you can tell that he's a proper Arsenal player. You know, he's the way he was coming off there when he was substituted, and it was great to see a young lad at Arsenal doing that again. Just to clarify that Gabriel should be our captain. I mean, another outstanding commanding performance at the back. It was nice to see Rice back to somewhere near his self and the reason why we brought him to the club. He did look a bit leggy towards the end. But apart from that, it was the same old, same old. You know, we was always going to be vulnerable, even against a very, very poor Tottenham team. Yep. One of the worst that I've seen over the years. Because we haven't got a striker and we haven't strengthened in that area, guys, we was always going to be vulnerable to concede a goal because we just cannot score. We just cannot score goals. I mean, Havertz again missing sitters and Odegaard. But apart from that, 3 points, and hopefully we can do a job against Villa on Saturday, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up, really. I said to you, DJ, backstage there, that should have been done and dusted half-time 4-1. If we'd had a striker, you know what I mean? I mean, that should be done. Anyway, Kenny, you're at the game as well. You got the floor is yours, my friend. Give us your breakdown.
Well, first and foremost, there is a format to beat us. Unfortunately, Spurs weren't good enough. First and foremost, we started off really well. Started off, really quick, which we do in a derby. Didn't take our chance, and we let kind of Spurs have a spell in the game, which we tend to do in quite a lot of our home games against certain teams. And in their spell, we didn't heed our warning when Gabriel had to save us for that great cross from Jed Spence, and he had to make an interception. Then Kulusevski's, forced us save from Raya. People, perhaps he should have scored, but it was a great save by Ryan. And then we fell asleep for their corner. And then I think what that did, that kind of gave us a kick up the backside. And then, but we needed a bit of luck. Even though we were the better side, still needed a bit of luck. People say we weren't a corner, but the same thing happened against Villa and West Ham. How they got their equaliser. But you take your chances, and then I think the game changer was Partey's tackle on Basuma. Yeah. And then when he tackled Basuma, that was it. We went 2-1 up, and then heads went down. Big Ange had to, go all expansive and attacking, and we knew what would happen. We knew that what was gonna happen, and we got a lot of space, but we just, as DJ says, no striker, and it's going to hurt us big time because
it is.
Because there's better teams out there than Tottenham at the moment, and I think Villa are going to be more of a test. And my big worry is the midfield, because Partey was man of the match. I thought Declan ran his socks off as well, and he had a good game as well. They got enough, energy in the tank. Aston Villa, they're probably going to play Aston Villa, but next week against Zagreb, they won't be playing because they need a bit of a break. Just hope they've got some energy in the tank. But as you said, Lewis Skelly, fine at left back, and Gabriel, I thought that was his best game.
Fantastic.
Season, I thought was his best game. So these are the pluses.
He was brilliant. The way he, when he left and he was like, "Come on, this is to the North Bank," and he got it. He got it. You could see that, man.
Before we go, a quick one. I think Declan Rice. I think Darren's brought up a quick one about Declan Rice needs to explain himself about fans who go are online. Yeah, I think he's got a bit of a point. It's not a nice thing to say, but I think he certainly's been listening to me when he says most of the online fans only don't even cover 1% of the fan base. That the people in the stands are the ones who know what's gone. However, he didn't read the room on Sunday or on Tuesday, because the same people that he's praising were the same people kicking off against Newcastle and Man United. So I think he needs to engage that brain a bit, and he missed an opportunity to talk about anything else other than silly things. But I know what he means. He's trying to defend them. He's made Kai Havertz because of what happened. So I get it.
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, right. Let's get into this, guys. 91. That's the team there. That's the squad. On the screen, David Seaman makes his debut in that year. The other goalkeeper, which is not shown, is above him, is John Miller. Never played a game. Tony Adams, David O'Leary, Steve Bolt, Andy Linegan at the back. I mean, mate, come on. Nigel Winterburn, come on. Lee Dixon, Steve Morrow. Don't get much better than that, does it really? And then you've got Sigurd Johnson, didn't play a lot, but Ray Parler, Anders Limpar, debut season, went on to 11 goals that year. Paul Davis, great player. David Hillier, also a debutant that season. Paul Merson, Mickey Thomas, David Roadcastle. Where do we end here, boys? Perry Groves, okay. Andy Cole, Kevin Campbell, rest in peace. Ian Wright, Alan Smith. I mean,
was Wright in the 90? I think he joined us after 91, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He came from Palace, but DJ. I mean, you look at that squad there, mate. That is a squad.
Let me just, let me just. Do you know what, Jez? Thank you for getting on this topic tonight, because I've been really looking forward to this, and it's lovely to talk about things like this and comparing teams. But let me give you a bit of an example of that team. David Seaman was bought for 1.3 million from Queen's Park Rangers. Right, let that just sink in a minute. 1.3 million turned out to be one of the best goalkeepers this country's ever seen, and England goalkeepers ever had. When he was under George Graham, he just improved season after season after season with the coaches that was in place. A manager also went up to a place like Norwich and brought back Andy Linegan as cover, as backup. I mean, and paid peanuts for him as well. That team conceded 18 goals. They scored 86. And they had a top golden boot winner in Alan Smith of scoring 28. Now, Smudger was no household name. Again, bought pretty much on a budget. No one had really, he'd done all right at Leicester and that, but he was nothing special before he come to Arsenal. So, I mean, what he done now what that team done was absolutely incredible. And a few other things as well. You got to remember, it had a smaller squad depth than the Invincibles. The pitches that they were playing on, down at, no disrespect, going down to Wimbledon and places like that, were bumpy, muddy, uneven, slopes, you name it, they had it. The tackles that used to fly in as well was just 100 mile an hour, and things that you get sent off for now, but didn't even get a yellow card back in them days. So, I mean, it was an amazing it was an amazing team, absolutely amazing team. And the other thing as well was, I think they drew less games than they did. The Invincible only drew 12. They won 28 that season. We also remember, what people might forget, is that we lost our captain for 4 months because he went in prison, unfortunately. You know, and Tony probably don't mind if he is watching. Don't mind us mentioning that. But I mean, you know, so this was a club that also lost one of their main stays at the back and their captain. So, yeah, I mean, listen, both teams have brought me so much joy. You know, the Invincible team was brilliant. But the thing that separates me, why I'm bigging up the 1991 team, is because what they lacked in flair, va-va-voom, if you like, they gained in passion, wearing their heart on their sleeve. You know, this is a team that backs against the wall would come up with something. Also, David Seaman, I think he kept like 29 clean sheets that year.
He did, yeah.
29 clean sheets he kept, David Seaman. I mean, you know, just let that sink in for a minute. 18 goals conceded. There's teams letting in 6 per game these days. 18 goals. With Andy Linnigan as backup, Tony Adams in, you know, missing games. It's just, you know, Nigel Winterburn, Lee Dixon. It's just incredible, really. You know,
I totally agree. I mean, also, we played 38 games in the league, right? We also played in the FA Cup and the League Cup, right? Bear in mind, in the FA Cup, we played 4 replays against Leeds United.
Yes.
To get over the line, yeah, at Filbert Street after our draw, yeah. And then we also played in the League Cup. I think I'm right in saying we played 49 games all told that season.
It was near on 50 games, yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, that is quite something to say that this, not a massive, I mean, it was a pretty much a core 14 players. If you go and look, I mean, I've got some of the stats down here, that how many games certain players played. And they pretty much were the same players each week. I mean, David Seaman played every game.
Yeah.
Tony Adams played every game until, unfortunately, he went to Her Majesty's
shopping centre.
Unfortunately. But, you know, it was an amazing squad. Kenny. Right. You know, in my lifetime, I don't think I've seen many teams outside of that squad that could have achieved what they achieved with that depth. Yes, we had a great manager. We had a great debutant goalkeeper, David Seaman. Unless you want to go back to the 70s with the great Liverpool teams, bearing in mind we'd taken them at home 89 on goal difference, right, at Anfield. This was quite an exceptional team. Nearly, and we're going to talk about this one, controversial, with nearly went invincible.
Well, the thing about it is that it's like there was building blocks to his team. Like George actually built this team. Like, you think about the team in '87 when we won the League Cup against Liverpool. Rushy scores, but we still beat them. The song and everything. And then 1989. But the 87, 89 was built for this moment in 91, where if you look at the background to this that season, we just had Italian 90. Remember Italian 90? Not one Arsenal player was in that World Cup squad.
No.
With the exception of David Seaman, who was playing for QPR.
Yeah.
But by the time he went to the World Cup, he was already an Arsenal player, because the background to David Seaman's signing was that the transfer deadline was actually the end of the financial year. So it used to be always the last day in March. So if you remember, you will know the story where David Seaman was agreed to come to Arsenal, and John Lukic was meant to go the other way at Queen's Park Rangers, but John Lukic didn't want to go. And both of them were trained by Bob Wilson. Bob Wilson is their goalkeeping coach. So, poor old David Seaman couldn't get in, but John Lukic wanted to see the season out at least and go to the club of his choice. And then, when you think about that season as well, Liverpool, retained the title, and the first 11 games, 3 clubs were unbeaten. One of them was Arsenal. The other one was Liverpool. Who was the other one?
Man United.
No.
No, it wasn't. Was it Leeds? No.
Nope.
Everton.
Nope.
Sheffield United.
Nope. You'll be shocked.
Go on.
Tottenham Hotspur.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Tottenham Hotspur, 3 teams were unbeaten in the first 11 games. And then on the 12th game, Liverpool played Spurs.
And they knocked
on elbow Gaza, and they won 3-1.
Yeah.
It was a case where it became kind of a 2-horse race during that season. And it was one of those seasons where the game when I knew we'll win a title was that game against Liverpool in December when we won 3-0. Do you remember that game at Highbury?
Yeah.
I was at the game, but it was also the ITV cameras were around, so ITV were televising that game for their Sunday match. But I thought it was that game where we got everything right. We had the midfield. We dominated Liverpool, a great Liverpool side with Johnny Barnes, Peter Beardsley. Ian Rush was coming back from Juventus. They had Jan Mobile, they had Steve McMahon, Grobbler in goal, and we absolutely dominated them. And that's what I thought. Yeah, we could do this. We could do this.
Right from the first whistle, I remember that game. Didn't give them any time at all.
Yeah, didn't give them anything. We were at him. Alan Smith was at his at his sharpest. Mark Thomas was at where he had a good game. I remember that day. But a lot of people, when they talk about the 91 side, it wasn't just the adversity of losing Tony Adams. You've got to remember one thing. David Rocastle wasn't a regular starter for part of that season.
No, I was just going to say that, Kenny.
Everyone talks about David Rocastle. We had Flair in that team. No, the Flair player was the super Swede, Anders Limpar.
Yeah.
He was a Flair player.
Who we bought from Cremonese.
Yeah, Cremonese.
Yeah, not even a massive Italian club.
Massive club. But, we saw, what he did in the World Cup for Sweden. Sweden and Italian 90. So we got Anders Limpar on the side, and then that's when we I think we replaced he replaced kind of Brian Marwood. So we replaced that sort of player. Also, the back four was basically a settled back four now. As a case of Lee Dixon, Winterburn, Bold, and Adams, and that was like solid. I think the building blocks to that side was probably David Seaman. As much as we all love John Lukic, if you were to ask, who would you prefer to have a drink with, John Lukic or David Seaman? John Lukic all day long. Do you remember when John Lukic used to come to North Bank and do a little wiggle?
Yeah,
just a little wiggle to the North Bank. Yeah. So in that respect, David Seaman was basically the finished article that made that team great. And then when you think about it, you've got that defence, the midfield as well. It was quite versatile because remember that season when we beat Liverpool at Anfield, Mickey Thomas, I think he's beginning to fall out of George Graham over his contract. Guess who came in? A kid called David Hillier. He became Remember that game at Anfield when he man-marked Jan Mobile?
We had a few injuries as well.
We had a few injuries.
Come on to that.
Yeah,
quick question though. Quick question here, right? When David Hillier came in, I mean, let's not forget that. No, let's just backtrack a minute, right? This Arsenal team started off with a 17-game unbeaten run.
That's right, yeah.
Right? We then lost to Man United 6-2 in the fourth round of the League Cup.
I was there that day.
I won a 6-2, look, Jess. That won a 6-2. That was the most extraordinary game ever, where every shot they had went in the net.
I know,
it was unbelievable.
But the thing is, we'd also, and I'm going to come on to the David Hillier, because I think it's very important, right? We had the Battle of Old Trafford. We got deducted 2 points, 21-man rule.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fucking...
Handbags, Jess, it was handbags. Come on, it was handbags.
I thought it was great. I was there. I thought it was fucking brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they got deducted a point. We deducted 2. We all remember the classic interview that Jules Graham did. Yeah. I remember it so well. I've actually got it on video. Well, it's not like I can play videos now. I ain't got a video player. But do you remember what he said? Boys, you've got to concentrate on the game. Don't worry about the fans. I will get the fans up.
Yeah.
Right. And we've just been deducted 2 points in the league. Right. So the fans are like a bit pissed off, and the players were like, whatever sort of thing. But at the end of the day, that just showed. The point I'm trying to make here, without trying to waffle it, is it showed the ambition and the passion of this team. And my point is that we don't have that now.
No.
Go on, fire away, boys. Say what you want to say.
No, I agree with everything you said. I mean, that was the biggest thing for me. If I was comparing the Invincibles with the 91 team, was the passion and what they wore their heart on their sleeve, didn't they? I mean, we had, when David Hillier came in and stuff like that. I mean, everyone played as if they'd been at the club for years. This is what George Graham instilled in them. And he built that. There wasn't many weaknesses amongst that team when you look back at that. It was solid all the way through. Unlike the present team, you can see weaknesses in big areas. George Graham always addressed that. This is what made George Graham, one of my best managers of modern era. If he needed a goalkeeper, he knew he needed to strengthen on a goalkeeper and all of that. So he went and got David Seaman. I mean, their scouting team during that era were top notch. I mean, to go and get players like Anders Limpar from Cremonese, I mean, incredible. David Seaman from QPR, players like this, David Hillier he brought in, it was just unbelievable. But they had characters in the team as well, though, didn't they? They never kind of they never backed out of anything. Even, I mean, I saw them in games when they were getting absolutely run ragged. But one thing, they never laid down. They was always in the game at some point. And this is what made this 91 team so fantastic in my book. And that,
DJ,
getting on to Alan Smith.
DJ,
getting on to Alan Smith.
I'll just interrupt you for a minute.
Go on.
Idiots in the chat, if you want to talk bollocks and insult my guests and people, you're gone, right? Mama, any mods, bin them, right? I'm not having it. right? These are intelligent people who know about Arsenal. You little arsewipes that come in here and want to insult people, take the piss out of my followers and everything else, you'll be gone very, very quickly. Very quickly. So just shut up. If you want to watch this intelligence from these people, DJ Kenny, not necessarily myself, or people in the chat who actually probably know a fuck sight more than you do, shut up or you're going to be blocked. And Mama, if she's still here, or Aaron, you're a mod, just bin them. If you see the stupid comments, mate, just block them. I don't care. Block them, right? There are big fat wobby, right? You can fuck off as well. So anyways, DJ, sorry, mate.
Yeah, I was just getting on to Alan Smith. I mean, you know, what a player he was. I mean, his first touch, he could control the ball from any way it came to him. He'd control the ball and hold the ball up. His hold up play was brilliant, and also a good goal scorer. He's so underrated, Alan Smith was. 28 goals I think he got that season from everywhere. I mean, he got 28 goals from his head. He tap-ins, shots, corners. You know, he was a top striker. And in his day, if he was playing today, he would still make one of the teams today, I think, anyway. And I think the other thing that separates the Invincibles, because we're comparing it with the Invincibles, the only thing I would say is the players from the Invincible team in their prime would probably still walk into most teams in Europe today, whereas there's only a few players from that 91 team in their day that would be attracted from top. I might be wrong, but may be attracted to top European teams of today.
That's a good point.
But, you know, like your Henrys and people from the Invincible team would still walk into any team in their day today. Whereas I'm not sure whether the Anders Limpar, even though he was a fantastic player for us, would probably make a top European team in his day today. You know, I might be wrong. That perhaps the people in the chat might disagree, but that's one of the key differences that I can see from the 91 team and the Invincible team.
True. Sorry, I just got to address this. Clips, mate. Look, you're obviously being a dickhead here. Nobody's interested with you because of you've got a lead gunner thumbnail there, right? I will read your comments out if I want to read them out, because it's my show, my channel, and if you've got something interesting, worthy to say, or something that is going to be of interest to the channel, I'll read it out, right? But at the end of the day, don't talk bollocks, fella, because you're going to be the next one that's gone, all right? At the end of the day, I don't accept bullshit in here, yeah? And we've obviously attracted the idiots tonight, or a couple of them, yeah? So I will say what I want to say, DJ Kenny, right? I will only say something from you if you've actually got something to say, because it just don't sit here and talk bollocks. Because I'll tell you now, mate, you'll be gone very fucking quickly. All right, Kenny. Sorry, mate. We got the idiots out tonight. We've got the mutants. They've come out of their hiding holes. Yeah, go on, mate. Say what you got to say.
No, it's very interesting what DJ said, because he's actually. I agree with him as well. He's 100% correct. Sometimes you look at teams, and sometimes the best teams individually, they may not be, have the individual flair of the players today, especially that 2014. You're right. That 2004 Invincible team had internationals, some of them World Cup winners. World Cup winners. European Championship winners as well for France, mostly. They had a Brazilian World Cup winner in 2002. So you're 100% right. Whilst that 91 side, they weren't real England, regulars. None of them went to the World Cup in Italy in '90. Lee Dixon was getting a bit of a game under, Graham Taylor. That season, he broke into the England side. Tony Adams was in Graham Taylor's squad, and Anders Limpar was the Swedish international, and David Rocastle, was in and out of Bobby Robson's squads, previously. So you're right. And Alan Smith never got a sniff that much with Ian. But sometimes the best teams don't have the best individuals. And that's one thing I did like about that 91 team, is that you think about it, we had a very, very strong Liverpool. Obviously, we weren't to know in 91 that Liverpool side, their last title the year previously, they wouldn't win it again for 30 years. We didn't know that. They still had a great job. They had John Barnes. They had Bruce Grobbler, who I think is a great goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers there's ever been. They still had Peter Beardsley on that side. They still had Ian Rush, who still was a great striker. And they had that Liverpool mentality. They still had Kenny Dalglish. But another turning point, remember when Kenny Dalglish resigned?
Yes.
Football. Remember they played Everton in '91, and it was a 4-4. Apparently, there was a big barney between the defenders and the attackers, because Everton kept on equalising when Liverpool kept on scoring.
Came out of blue, didn't it?
And then 2 days later, Kenny Dalglish resigned. So that was another thing in our favour.
Yeah.
Kenny Dalglish retired. We had Tottenham as well, being Spursy as they were, and obviously we had.
They've not changed, have they?
Yeah, not at all. But another thing as well, Tony Adams as well, our leader at the time. We talk about Tony Adams, our leader now, but at the time, he was still a very young captain. But he became like legendary when he held up 2 trophies at Anfield in 2 years before.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was a case where he was still recovering from the Eeyore chance, and he wasn't really the main man for England. So it was a case where we lost our leader, and yet we just carried on. It was like George Graham went to see him at court. George Graham, was expecting to bring him home. Next minute, you pick up the papers, and all you could see was Tony Adams, all nose through the, through the prison van, and you're thinking, could that contain our season? But no, they just went on. They went on.
Made them stronger, Kenny. I think it made them stronger.
And I think what's happened is, I think the player that replaced him was Andy Lilligan, and Andy Lilligan came and done a job. You think about it. When we lost players, they came and done a job. I talked about David Hilliard, which we're going to look at the game against Liverpool when Paul Merson made it 1-0 at Anfield. That's a turning point. But it was a case of none of them were massive stars, but it was the mentality. Who instilled that mentality? George Graham. Now George Graham hasn't got a statue, and I think that's a disgrace. You think about personality.
Don't get me on that one, Kenny.
Obviously, I won't get you on it, but you think about the personalities. The great thing about the Invincible team in 2004 and George Graham's team in '91. That was when both Wenger and George were at their best, at their greatest. But they were different kind of coaches. Well, George was very much a micromanager. He worked on that defence. He instilled the spirit of 71 into that side. Whilst Wenger was basically like, he wasn't hands-on. He was basically like the old Liverpool of old. You're great players. I don't need to teach you how to play football. You go and work out yourself. So these guys were the managers on the field, whilst I felt with the 91 side, George was very much a micromanager. Obviously, he had leaders who could tell him to get stuff like, George Graham, Tony Adams, Steve Bold, the back four, they were his lieutenants. But he had a greater control of the younger players. Whilst the younger players in the Invincible team, they were led by players on the pitch, but they had to work it out themselves. And it had more flair. But I think this 91 side was better.
Yeah.
It's a team. And I always say, when you look at the German sides that won the World Cup in 1990 and won the European Championship side, none of those players would have got into like the World 11s. Maybe Matthias, that's about it, or Klinsmann. But as a team, they're a machine, and that's why I like the George Graham team '91 the best, is because that was a machine. That was a team, was impregnable. But
Oh yeah,
not 2014 was more pleasing in the eye, which we're going to get to anyway.
I think.
I just going to come to this, Gary. Look, let's be sensible here, shall we? Jez, can you please ask DJB to answer this? Were you at Anfield '89? I'll come back to that. And is it true that you were given flowers? I mean, what are you talking about here, man? A certain person called out Amanda keeps saying that on a certain podcast. That's me. I said it. I called her out because she's fucking lying. All right.
I don't remember any flowers, mate. I remember a bit of abuse.
Go on. If you want to answer it, DJ, up to you.
You just said it, Jez. I don't remember any flowers. That's all I'm going to say on that.
You certainly didn't get any. I didn't get any.
No.
So we must be ugly bastards. But
no, exactly.
People, look, this is a sensible fucking channel, right? Like the people who wanted this one for 6 months, and I'm getting inane, stupid bastard questions in here, right, which are not relevant. Yeah. So let's just keep it to the debate we're talking about, which I know a lot of people don't know about it. Listen and learn. You've got 2 people here, right, that can educate you. Okay? So just stop the bollocks here, because I'm getting pissed off this now. And you know me, when I get the arsehole, right, you're gone. Don't care whether you're a channel member, whatever, or a subscriber, I'll fuck you off. Right? Because I've got these 2 people on to say and debate. I don't want to hear the bullshit anymore. And if you want to play that stupid little game with me, mate, you ain't going to win. Anytime fucking quick. Seriously, 'cause I am getting the ump now. Yeah, and when I get the ump, you're gone. Bye. See you later. Andy, even guys, I still believe the Arsenal 91 side on par, if not better than the 2004. This is what, mate, that is what we want to hear.
Everyone's got their own opinion. I mean, it depends. I think see, the thing is with football, and the reason why we all love it and watch it is because certain games do things stick in our mind, and certain players and certain occasions we can relate to watching football. But getting back to what Kenny was saying about the manager George Graham with his '91 team, that was instilled with him when he played at the club in the double winning team in 71. And George Graham didn't. His ethos and the way he managed was the way he was coached when he was a player. It was very, very regimental, and it was very, very instilled in him. And then he then moved that on to his managing career. And a lot of the Arsenal team in '91 played very similar to the double winning team in the '70s.
Yeah.
They was very, they were very fierce. They was very aggressive. A lot of off the ball stuff. They were an ugly team to play against. I mean, some of the quotes on some of the professionals about that '91 team when they came to Highbury, they knew they'd been in a game. That there was no letting up with that team. And that's what I liked about. That's why that team. That's what that team gave to me. What Arsenal was all about, really. It was. You come to this ground. You come to this famous ground, with all its history. You're going to leave knowing about it. You're going to know you've been in a game. And I think that's what George Graham instilled into that '91 team. And Tony Adams played with that. Led the club and played with that. Mindset all the way through his Arsenal career. Every game he played with that mindset, and George Graham instilled that into him. Because I remember Tony Adams saying about Arsene Wenger, he didn't really coach him much. Tony Adams wasn't really coach. He was told the way the team set up and how he wants them to play, but he never. Tony Adams was a lot of what he learned came from the George Graham era and what he learned himself. Arsene Wenger didn't really coach Tony, and he said this, you know, he didn't really learn a lot from Arsene Wenger. You know, he learned about nutrition and how to conduct himself, and, you know, Arsene Wenger, what he done with that Invincible team, and when he come to this country, he changed the whole mindset of how football should be played, a bit like Pep has done in this modern era. You know, first thing he done was get the ball on the grass, play it on the floor, play it to feet, because a lot of the games was always up in the air, wasn't it? You know, I mean, I remember going to Arsenal games and just looking up in the sky for like 70, 80 minutes, because it was constantly up in the air. And when Rocastle and Merson used to get on the ball and Limpar and things like that, you used to think, thank God, I can actually see it on the floor now. It's actually going to be past the feet. Someone's going to actually dribble with a ball, you know. But there was some top players in it. I mean, Paul Merson, what an underrated player he was.
Ooh.
I mean, can you imagine him in his pomp now? Again, he would probably walk into any Liverpool or Man United team. Definitely the Spurs team of today, I would say. Probably Man City.
All day long.
You know?
Kenny, I'll let you answer this one. Fucking
I think what's happened is that, well, I'm enjoying myself so much. It's up to me how I conduct myself. And what I'm saying is because he's bringing back, DJB is bringing back memories that I lived. So it's not a case of me just doing just for the sake of it. It may annoy you, but I'm just listening to the great points he made, because the hairs on the back of my head are standing up, because I'm thinking, oh my God, I remember it like yesterday. So Kennedy, I don't know what your problem is. I'm not going to even answer that where was the last time I went to an Arsenal game, because that's just silly. Let's just stick to the debate. But the most important thing, DJ, you said something that was really right, really important, really interesting. You said that the 91 team had a lot of fight and it had a lot of bite as well. And, you know, you didn't really mess with them, especially when you had Bold and Adams and, you know, Lee Dixon, you know, he could put it about. But you look at his blonde hair and you thought, no, he's not really that type. And Nutty was a bit of all of that.
Yeah.
You always got a feeling with Nutty that he had a lot of that, but he always knew he had backup. And then, but the midfield, when you talk about Paul Merson, oh, what a player! You know, he was another one who came through, because I remember he came through in the 86, 87 season, but he came into the team after he won the League Cup. And then afterwards, he was brought on in 87, 88, and then 88, 90, 89, that's when he became ready for the first team. So, you know, he was fantastic that season as well. The goals he was scoring as well. And it was kind of like, how would I, you know, sometimes I used to look at Paul Merson, I thought, it wasn't really a player that I've seen since then who actually matched him, because he was quite unique. He could play in midfield, he could play the second striker as well, but he was better than, you know, a striker. He's better than the midfield. He had a bit of je ne sais quoi, you know, do something out of nothing. That's the kind of player that I like about Paul Merson. But one thing about 2014, everyone talks about the panache and the flair. They can mix it as well.
Yeah.
Look, we all just say
that.
Arsene Wenger, you know, his teams were just all about panache and flair. No, Arsene Wenger's teams from about 1996 up until probably, you know, 2008, they had the record sending offs, the most sending offs, and that was because a lot of players put it about. Like, for instance, we could get to the Invincible team. Dennis Bergkamp, blonde hair, looks like the Milky Bar kid. You want it with him? He was after it. Paddy Vieira, self-explanatory. Gilberto, if you wanted it with me, he'll have it as well. It was a case like that team was like, how do you want it? But I think with George's side, you know, 91, that was a team like, how do you want it? But it had flair as well. Let's not forget. You mentioned you mentioned the 18 goals we let in, but what about the 86 goals? Let's not forget. Anders Limpar was a flair player. On his day, when he got chances, Rocastle, self-explanatory, a flair player.
Well,
Michael Thomas, he had so much time. He had a bit of flair as well. Like, he wasn't like a marauding midfielder. He's one who could slow the game down. So there was a bit of goal in that side. And obviously, you mentioned Paul as well. So we did have some flair. And Alan Smith was just an expert goal scorer. He didn't just score headers. He was just in the box. But one of the things that I liked about George Graham, and I think we copy it now, set pieces.
Oh.
You call us Set Piece FC, the 91 team, that was Set Piece FC. Do you remember?
Incredible. Near post flick on
by Bold, either Adams or Smith.
Worked every time. Every time we got. I mean, Kenny, honestly, you're so true. They talk about Set Piece FC now. Back in the George Graham day, whenever we got a corner, we would on the North Bank, we was more or less jumping up and down. 9 out of 10 times we was going to get something out of it, and it was simple. It was an accurate ball to the near post. It was flicked on, and someone had come running in, Alan Smith or someone like that, to nudge it in. It was just so simple. There was none of this pushing from the back, all grouping together on the far post. And the movement in the box was insane. But just getting onto the goals, we scored 86 goals, and Alan Smith was, I think, again, top goal scorer with 28.
Yeah.
So, there was still 50 odd, 60 odd goals to be scored there. So it just goes to show that we did have flair, because a lot of those goals come from the likes of Limpar and Merson. And Rocastle when he played, and players like that, and Mickey Thomas. So there was plenty of flair there, because we scored a lot of goals that season on pitches and grounds that you went to that weren't in the nick that they are in now. Let's be fair.
DJ, somebody just brought that up. Before we get into that, we're at 40. How much time we got, guys? Because if we need to do a second show about that, that's fine. That's cool. Because we're 47. If anybody's got a bounce,
I'm all right. Jez, for a minute.
I'm as good as DJ and yourself, really. Because this is like, it's an important debate to have.
It's great. It makes a change rather than moaning about our current team at the moment.
Fair play, man. Fair play, guys. Sam says, even Jez, DJ, Kenny, don't want to be negative, but I'm not getting carried away about the North London derby. Spurs are 13th and awful. We need a striker. Yes, we talked about that one earlier.
I agree with you, Sam.
Question here. This is not really relevant, but we'll ask quickly. Kenny, is Ruben Dias or Saliba?
That, DJ Clips, that is a horrible question, but a bloody brilliant one as well, because you've got me on strings with that one, because I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I know.
DJ?
I know. Considering the age of Saliba and what he's got to come, Saliba is a far better better than Ruben Dias.
You know what I don't know, DJ, is because you talk about players, you talk about them individually, but when I look at Ruben Dias, all right, Man City attack a lot. They have a lot. They're always in the attack. They're always on the front foot. But I'll argue with anyone till I'm blue in the face. I don't think the Man City side that won the league last season and the team that won the treble was as great as those Man City teams of 2019 and 2018.
No, nowhere near it.
I thought both those sides were fallible. And one of the mainstays of that side, everyone talks about Rodri in midfield, but I thought Ruben Dias was brilliant. He was the superior defender. And
Ed, can I put something out there, Jess?
Go on, mate.
Don't mind. Here's one for you. The Man City team, the league, the best Man City team against the 91 Arsenal team. I mean, we've always been teamed up, haven't we? Everyone's always said it on the radio stations and in chat and stuff, where they've gone, oh, who's the better team, the Man City team or the Invincible team? Yeah. And I can answer that one, not a problem. But there you go. Kenny, the 91 team against the Man City, Pep's Man City team.
There you go. I mean, yeah. DJ, I want you to ask. I'm going to ask you this one. Liam's quite a great question. You talked about it, DJ, a little bit earlier. Lads, talk about the pitch compared to today. Plays a massive part now. How teams played.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Play out fields, man. They used to be. DJ, I said to you last week. I was talking to you about a game I watched from. It was 1968. Right, it was Man United against West Brom. And it was the most sloppy pitch you'd ever seen in your life. I remember the goalkeeper, Man United goalkeeper, forget his name now, kicked the ball out and the ball went, and it was Bobby Charlton and Jeff Astle were the two players. Do you remember Jeff Astle?
Yeah. Legend, buddy.
They went in for a tackle and it was like bang.
Crazy.
Right? And the ball just went like that. And the two players got up, right? And I think it was George Best or somebody got the ball, I can't remember, right? And nowadays you'd think, oh, like that.
We'd both be sent off, wouldn't they?
Oh, mate, they went in, bang. And it was like, I remember it was black and white TV. I was watching it, little kiddie on Match of the Day, and it was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, them pictures, DJ, go on, far away, man.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a couple of, I'll talk about the pitches, right? The pitches nowadays makes football so much easier. Very rarely do you get a bobble on the ball. You know, the pitches, you know, the ball runs smoother. The players don't turn their ankles over so much. You know, I mean, look at the football boots they can wear nowadays. They're like our slippers. You know,
yeah.
I'm not being joked. The pitches are just outstanding everywhere you go. You know, you go down to Brentford and places like that. Even the pitches are brilliant. I mean, back in the day, you go to places like Wimbledon. I remember the old baseball ground. Yeah. You couldn't even see they used to come out at half time to repaint the lines. You know, so you've got to, when you're comparing teams, you've got to look at the whole picture. So the pitches is one thing. Some of the football they used to play on these pitches were incredible, and secondly, some of the tackles that they used to have to put up with. You know, I mean, I played football. I'd love to be able to play football now, because you can't be touched. Nowadays, the player, when I don't know about you, Kenny and Jez, but when I watch football, when I see a crunching tackle, I go, he's played the ball first. But they're getting yellow cards and red cards. And I'll look at the tackle and I'll go, but he's played the ball. But just because the player has felt it and he's rolling around 4 or 5 times, holding his ankle and screaming out loud, just because he's hit the floor, the ref just blows for a free kick. Whereas back then, with that 1991 team, I remember one game. I can't remember what it was. I think it was who did we play at home? Who was it? I think it might have been West Ham or someone like that. I can't remember. It might have been. I think it was a London derby, and I remember being right on the edge of the North Bank now at the corner flag, because I met a friend and that's where he used to stand. I used to stand behind the goal at the back, and I remember the ball. I remember the two players going for the ball, and you could actually hear the crunch of the tackle. And you know, I mean, it was that ferocious. Nowadays, it doesn't happen. And even during the Invincible time, a lot of the play had kind of dulled down a bit. You know, you couldn't tackle from behind. If you tackled from the side, it was a free kick. So a lot of these flair players like Henry and Bergkamp, who was God to me anyway, they had a lot more freedom and they had a lot more time to do that. I mean, it was still quite physical, more physical than what it is today. But they had time on the ball. They could show all their skills. But that 91 team, they didn't have any time at all.
No.
You know? So that made them, in my book, even better than the Invincible team.
But there's one thing. Do you remember in in Italian 90? Do you remember when the first they were sending people off for professional fouls in Italian 90? And I think that that came into the the Football League in 1991. Do you remember Tony Adams got sent off against? I think it was against I don't know if it was QPR or Luton.
QPR, I think. QPR.
It was a professional foul. They got a penalty. I think Roy Wegley made it. Like I said, got QPR's goal. But that was when we had the professional foul. But you were 100% right. I remember a game years before the 87-88 season. We played Nottingham Forest. Not the Forest, Peters. Not the Forest. It was a 0-0.
Well, they had some character. They had some characters in their team. That team, jeez.
It was a tackle between Stuart Pearce and David Rocastle. Now, David Rocastle had legs like tree trunks, and so did Stuart Pearce. So it's basically South London versus like Shepherd's Bush, because Stuart Pearce was from Shepherd's Bush. And I just saw him go for the ball, and I thought a bomb went off. Seriously, I just heard the biggest bang, but it was a big thud, and I thought these guys are going to get the stretchers out. They just got up, dusted themselves on, and carried on. Both of them went for the ball, and I heard a massive bang, and it was both low as well. It was both low, and I think by the time we got 2004, the over the top tackle, they are already getting away with that, and I think a lot of the reasons why they had, because you saw some really bad ones. I mean, I remember Gary Stevens and Jim Beglin in '87 when they went bang, and I thought, wow. And you remember Jim Beglin's leg afterwards, and there was quite a few tackles like that where, as much as we loved the blood and thunder, we have to remember, I was never a fan of the over top tackle. I always thought it was sneaky. It was a tackle, but you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. It's like, I remember Johnny Giles used to always talk about a tackle he did in '65.
Johnny Giles, God.
Johnny Giles, a little Irishman, 5'5", but he actually ended a Man United player's career, where it was an over top tackle, and he says he was actually saying, I had to be particularly skillful to get away with it and not notice that it was a foul. And I thought, you bastard.
And that's what they had to have, Kenny. See, this is what the 91 team had to have, because the tackles were so ferocious.
Yeah.
And because the game between, even in that era between 91 and the Invincibles, the game had changed so much, like it has now from 10 years ago. So those players there, they had to learn how to evade a tackle as well. And they also had to read the game. And a lot of those 91 players could read the game. You know, they could see a pass before the ball come to them.
Yeah.
They could see a tackle before the player got to them. And all of these things they had to know, you know, because they didn't have the time once they had the ball, you know. And it was played in the air a lot. I mean, it was back to the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper would pick it up, throw everyone downfield. Bit like David Frail. What he was, I couldn't believe that yesterday, Kenny. I've never seen so many.
Players we had though, isn't it, DJ? It's players we had. You've got to remember, before Aaron Smith, it was Niall Quinn. So we were playing the players' strengths. So we were getting crosses in early, and we weren't exactly getting to the byline, although we were getting the ball down the field pretty quickly. Remember, Aaron Smith didn't have pace. Niall Quinn previously didn't have pace, but they were very good at holding the ball up. So we had to get the ball quickly, and then, last bits feeds a bit for Merce, and then David Rocastle will get down the wing. But most of the flair we saw was down the wing, and probably from Merce. But in terms of like the midfield, it was a case like the only player that seemed to have time on the ball was Michael Thomas. He was like, you think that Michael Thomas wasn't like giving his all, but he was like a stroller. He used to find
space though, didn't he?
Yeah,
Kenny Jez. Michael, if you looked at Michael Thomas, you'd think, hang on a minute, get him off. He ain't been in the game, but he'd find little pockets of space with no one around him. He was very, very intelligent. And another thing that the 91 team used to do, you say about Tony Adams and Steve Bold and all that, they was very good with carrying the ball from defence as well.
Yeah.
Running with the ball.
Yeah.
Bit like what Saliba done yesterday in the second half. And it's so refreshing to see a centre half get the ball, and when the space opens up, run into it. You know, you don't see it a lot now. When a centre half gets the ball, the first thing he was doing, he's looking for his midfield players to play it into or play it to the fullback. Whereas back then, Tony Adams would get the ball, and if there was space, he'd run 30, 40, he'd run 20 yards with the ball.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's another good thing that they was good at doing.
DJ, quick question for you before we move into the Invincibles.
Yeah.
DJ, what about all the diving now? Is that a bigger problem?
It is massive. Yes, it's all a big. There's a lot of issues, really. I mean, diving for me is just, and even if Arsenal players do it, I just don't like it. I really don't like it. And I've seen Arsenal get free kicks and penalties for diving, and yeah, you take it because it's your team and you want the points and you want to win. But afterwards, you think, oh, what's he done that for? Do you know? I just don't agree with it. When I played, my manager used to say to me, if he keeps diving, make sure that you tackle him and give him something to dive for.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. And Stuart Pearce. I remember seeing Stuart Pearce, who was one of my idols as well, because I was a fullback. I remember him. I can't remember who he was playing. I think he was Man United. And he dived one or two times, and then all of a sudden he's gone bang. And I remember him looking over him and going, right, now fucking dive. Do you know what I mean?
But I've got a funny story to tell you. I know I'm a bit of an anorak, and I was watching highlights of the Littles Cup final, and it was 1-1. Viv Anderson did a massive. Do you remember Viv Anderson's massive dive? Massive dive to try and get a penalty.
I was embarrassed with that, and I loved old Viv. I think Viv Anderson. He was an underrated fullback.
You know what I think diving's been around a lot longer than we thought it was.
Well, Klinsmann was the god at it, wasn't he?
Oh, definitely. But we had players in this country that had a go. Not so much in around the 80s and 90s. But when I mentioned Viv Anderson, he was so bad at it. But before we get to 2004, we didn't mention the introduction of Kevin Campbell. Remember Kevin Campbell?
Oh, God bless him.
In the juniors,
God bless him. He was a revelation, wasn't he?
You remember he was breaking records. In the juniors, he went to Leyton Orient, scored goals. And
I saw him playing a reserve match once, and I said to my mate who I used to go football with, Richard, I said, this guy is going to burst onto the scene. I said, and he's going to be a revelation for us. Because he was getting the ball.
Ian Wright killed his career at this club. The son of Ian Wright.
Yeah. But I mean, and with Kevin Campbell, he could not fit a ball, can he? He had a fantastic shot on him.
Let's get into the I'll just very quickly before we get into the next chapter. Very quickly, Andy, mate, thank you for your super chat as always, my friend. Ryan Giggs Cup goal 99. Oh, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even go there.
I remember looking at very, very quickly, Kenny, on that Andy there on the super chat there. I remember watching that, and all I kept saying is, take a yellow card. Someone hit him. Take a yellow. Take a yellow. Bring him down.
He was going too fast. He was going too fast. I don't think they would have caught him.
You know what I mean? I think he went past Vieira, which shocked me. I think he went past Vieira, didn't he? Then he went past, and I'm thinking, just hit him, just bring him down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not that I condone.
It's not 10 men. Hey, before we start, I've got a shock for you. At the end of the show, you're going to be shocked. Jez won't be shocked, but you'll be shocked about what I'm going to say at the end of the show.
Go on, mate. Right, let's get into this one. Right, 03-04, the Invincibles.
Oh.
We've done like George Graham. Yeah, I mean, fucking legend to me in every aspect.
Yeah.
Came to Arsenal, played in our first double team. Great manager, got us our second European trophy before we get in, League Cup. Yeah, we're pretty shit in that.
Yeah.
FA Cups, won us 2 Division 1 titles before we joined the Premier League. Okay, so, we know what happened. It went on from there. 96, comes Arsene Wenger. And 03-04.
Incredible.
I'm just going to drag up, if I can remember.
I think it was while you're dragging that up, Jez, it was 90 points?
No, hang on. I'm just dragging up that team. Squad. Here we go. Let's just get this on in there. Share this squad. I mean, it does go to show where we are now. Let's be honest. There we go, boys. Streaming.
Yeah, look at that.
I mean, come on. There's a squad and a half in it. I can't even get the whole picture on the screen.
Incredible. But that's what I said though, Jez. If the listeners are comparing 91 squad and the Invincible, look at the squad depth this team had compared to the 91 squad.
Yeah.
So, I know we're moving on to the Invincible, but just bear that in mind if you're trying to have an argument at home with a brother or sister or a family member after the show. Just bear that in mind, the difference in squad depth.
Yeah.
Well, we had Ali Aladir, Jeffers, Papadopoulos, right? Jerome Thomas.
Oh, he did make some bad signings, though, I've got to admit.
I don't even remember some of these names in here. Dennis Bergkamp. I mean, what can you say about that?
He's rubbish, wasn't
he? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Fabric. Well, I shouldn't mention that name. David Bentley, Perez.
Yeah.
Edu Gaspar. Ray Parler. Never even heard of this guy. I can't even pronounce his name. Silva, Gilberto Silva, Vieira. Right. I mean, come on, man. I mean, Gail Gleeshy, Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren was a good.
I'll leave it to you, boys. I mean, I'll give you the facts. You know them anyway, right? 38 games, 26 wins, 12 draws, 0 lost, 73 goals, 26 against, 90 points. Only the second team in football history to ever achieve it. Do we include Preston North End? Of course we do, because at the end of the day, they were the first to do it. But that was one hell of a team. DJ, go and say what you want to say.
Well, I mean,
you say afterwards, man.
I think I've said this before. When that team used to line up in the tunnel, the game was won.
Yeah,
it was won before they even stepped foot on a pitch. You look at live games of today when they're at the tunnel and they're seeing the two teams coming out. They're weighing up one another. They're eyeing up one another. It's all shaking hands, pally, love you, see you next week, all this malarkey. Whereas then, that team with Henri and all that, they used to stick their chest out in that tunnel, line up, and whatever team was against them, they was more worried about keeping the score down rather than winning, no matter what team they played. Apart from Man United, who was perhaps the only team that kind of give them a go.
Yeah.
And then when they got on the pitch, all these players with all this euphoria around them, they just played. Some of the football they played was just. I've never, even to this day, I've never seen it, Jez. I've never seen the movement, the passing, the 1-2s around the box, the quick thinking, space created, the crossing, the accuracy of the crosses, the running off the ball, creating space for one another. I've never seen it. And people say to me about the modern Man City teams. I'm telling you now, put any Manchester City team up against this team, and I know whose my money would go on. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm just looking at this from a pure footballing basis because I love football and I'll give credit where credit's due to any team. I do to Man United's Alex Ferguson's team, who was a great team. The Liverpool team's gone past, fair's fair. But this team had everything. I mean, and then when you had someone like Bergkamp in the team as well, I mean, wow. I mean, I've never seen a player like it.
No.
And I think I touched on this player.
We could talk about that forever, but go on, please.
I mean, yeah. And then quickly getting on the manager side of thing of this team, when he came in, no one had heard of him. It was Arsenal. Who is this guy? Arsenal. What? Where's he come from?
Yeah.
And I've got to admit, I knew nothing about him.
Nor did I.
I didn't know anything about him. And when he came in, he completely changed how football was played in this country. A bit like Pep's done. Because I can remember, the ball being up in the air for sort of, 60, 70 minutes of a game. And every now and again, it'd be put on the floor. But this guy came in and the ball it never left the ground. All right, Brian Clough instilled it as well with Forest. But it never left the ground. And the players what he bought amongst the players as well. They were fitter, leaner, quicker. I remember Henri going past me once when he was on the wing, and it was like a racehorse going past me. When I was at the front one day, I'm thinking, Jesus, this is incredible. Oh, yeah, amazing. Yeah. But as I said, they still had their weaknesses. They had certain weaknesses in the team, but there wasn't many, was there? Let's be honest, wasn't many at all.
No, I mean, before I let Kenny in on this, I'm fascinated, boys. The arse white people that are in here tonight, I think it's pure jealousy that they don't understand what we're talking about. They have no knowledge of what we're talking about because they never had the privilege of seeing what you, DJ, what you, Kenny, what I was privileged to see. And so they have to sit here and cry like little fucking muppets. I don't get it. If you want to actually sit and listen to these two men. They know more about this fucking football club than you will ever know in your life. So if you want to learn, shut up. But what it says to me, DJ Kenny, is they're thick. They are thick little kids that don't have a brain, that want to appreciate and learn from better people. People that actually know about Arsenal, people that you can actually learn from. I mean, I've watched Arsenal since 1968, but I can learn. I can learn from DJ. I can learn. I can learn from anybody. I don't know everything about Arsenal, and I never will. But I'm happy to sit here and let you boys talk. I don't need to talk because I've got two absolute legends of the fan base, right, here to give their knowledge. And when you get fucking idiots that don't appreciate it, then fuck off. I don't want you here. I don't want you to sub. I don't want you to do any stats or anything. Go on, mate.
These idiots can always meet us at a game and we can chat then.
Exactly. They won't.
Yeah.
Won't. DJ, the amount of times I've been called out, don't ever come to the Emirates, don't ever come, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do you over. Really? Yeah. Okay. Big up to you, boys. Good luck. Good luck. Fucking good luck. Because some of the people I used to go to football with back in the 80s and 90s, you really wouldn't want to meet some of them.
It Yeah,
right?
it was a scary place back then going to football matches. It weren't all nice and comfy then. You'd
Fuck,
be
it
lucky
wasn't.
to get out of some grounds alive.
Yeah, they wouldn't last 30 seconds, right? So enough of that. Enough of that. Hopefully the mods are dealing with them. Kenny, I know you've got a lot to say here, and I know I really want you to. When we finish this stream, it's going to be. I know what you're going to say, but
You know what I'm going to say. I don't think DJB knows what I'm going to say. But one thing I would say about, one of the things that DJB said about it is that the game was lost as soon as it was in the tunnel. There's one thing. It's actually to do with the Henri Bergkamp thing. But if you think about, if you add like a list of the 5 of the best ever players to ever play for this football club, well, 3 of those players for me are in that Invincible team: Henri, Bergkamp, and Robert Pires.
Yeah,
Can you believe it?
spot on.
We had
Jez, I can't, Matty,
in that Invincible team, we probably got 3 of the all-time greats.
Yeah,
Ever to wear our shirt. The 4 all-time greats, where everyone says there's a debate between Henri and Bergkamp, but Robert Pires was a fantastic player. People talk about the first double winning side of '98.
Wow,
and they talk about Overmars, but Robert Pires was a superior player to Overmars, and then Dennis Bergkamp was prominent in '98. It's probably one of the reasons why we won the '97, '98 league title. And then obviously we're going to get to 2001, 2002. But in Invincible, there's a lot of people, the majority of Arsenal fans I know will always say 3 things. It's close between Henri and Bergkamp, but we just prefer Bergkamp. Number two, they will say who's like I said, the best player to ever play in the Premiership. They won't say Dennis Bergkamp. They'll say Thierry Henry. So that's another debate. But one thing about it is that you also got a left back in that 2004 team where he could be an all-time great as a left back, because you have the debate between him and Kenny Sampson.
yeah.
So that 2004 team was absolutely brilliant. And then, whether we like it or not, there's a few fans who believe that Jens Lehmann was better than David Seaman.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot.
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? It's personal.
You can't laugh at them because Jens Lehmann
you can't.
was the invincible goalkeeper, and he's a world class keeper.
He was,
Bit nut job. But one thing I would say about Thierry Henry, whenever he played for Arsenal, I never thought we'd lose. And that was throughout his whole Arsenal career. But in that Invincible team, if Thierry Henry played, and he didn't even have to have a good game.
No.
If I saw Thierry Henry on that pitch, I knew we win, because Thierry Henry was like, how do I say it? He played like he was like a pianist, and he had a shot that was like an exorcist, and he was like, he had this kind of Gallic flair.
Yeah,
he was like our minder. For me, he was like a minder, because I've always felt that if Thierry Henry, like I said, didn't play, I felt we were a bit weaker, because he was a player that everyone in the league was scared of. You speak to Joey Barton, who's a bit of an interesting man. All he talks about, Henri this, Henri that, and then Henri this, Henri that, and to have that player and watch this guy every week was a pleasure. For me, he deserves his statue, and that's another thing. 2 of that Invincible team have both got statues. Can you believe it?
I know. It's incredible, isn't it?
It's incredible. But one of the things I remember about that season as well, people seem to forget the actual birthplace of this Invincible team actually started when we lost against Leeds the season before at home, and Man United won the title. It's
Yeah, I
like,
know that.
it's like we drew a line under the sand, across the sand, and said, no more.
Yeah.
They got the title. It was like the determination that season to say, right, that's it. We're getting this title back.
Kenny, and interrupting you there, this is what I was hoping this current manager was going to do when we just missed out last season against Man City. And when I've been on the chats before, this is why I come back to it. I cannot believe what we done this summer was dreadful, because you touched on it then. This when we lost the league to Man United, like Leeds, that's when the Invincible team was born, because we all said no more. And the current manager and the current board and everything said, we're not going to feel that pain again. Yeah. And that was the difference. But, you know, getting back to Robert Pires, I mean,
legend, man.
You remember the goal when he lobbed, you know, where he got the ball on the wing and that delicate little lob. I mean, he was just brilliant, wasn't he? He looked the part and he could play. But I remember one of the guys put it in the chat, you know, Freddie Ljungberg was a Sun player and all. I mean, let's be honest, Freddie Ljungberg in his day, we had two you know, you look at Martinelli now compared to Robert Pires. I mean, it's just miles and miles.
You remember that goal, Ljungberg against Chelsea in the final?
Yeah.
Incredible. But see, Henri said, I remember Henri, you know, what he said once. He said, if you don't get to me within the first 1 or 2 seconds and I go past you, you ain't ever catching me.
Yeah.
Because what that guy had, Kenny and Jez, is he had bundles and bundles of pace, but the ball never ever moved from his foot.
Exactly.
It was never more than centimetres in front. He always had it close to his running at pace. I've never seen a player run at pace with the ball stuck to his foot.
It was like that, wasn't it?
It was incredible. And how quick he could change direction, where he could go left and then cuttings. And this was all at pace. You think, you know, if you watched him on the TV, you wouldn't get the full effect.
It was that
you had to watch him live.
Yeah.
That skipping run, right? He'd be going skipping it, and then he'd go, and he'd like be round the back of that left back or right back, and he'd just go bang, and it was like curl it straight in top bins, and you're like, fuck, where did that come from?
You know, you know, there was one thing about Henri as well. We seem to forget when Henri first signed for the club. There was this good friend of mine. He's a very good friend of mine. I'm very good friends with his daughter. He's called John. And remember, Henri we're talking about in 2004. Let's not forget the Henri we got from Juventus. We used to sing Thierry Henry, and John used to go, waste of money.
Yeah,
Thierry Henry, waste of money.
When he first came.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kelly. When he first came, he came as I think he brought him in as a left winger, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his first couple of games, I even remember going, I don't think he's going to make it. Because, you know, you got to remember, we grew up watching the team we've just been talking about. And I'm thinking, he ain't an Arsenal player. This kid ain't going to make it.
No.
This kid ain't going to make it.
Yeah, I remember.
And then suddenly he sort of like must have woke up one day and thought, do you know what, I'm going to show these fans. And thank God he did, because he was...
DJB and Jez, the turning point in Thierry Henry's Arsenal career was a Sunday game against Derby County. It wasn't live on TV. Yeah. But it was against Derby County. He was played up front for the first time.
That's right. It was down the middle, wasn't he?
He was played down the middle. It was 99-2000 season.
Was Bergkamp injured that day?
Yeah. It was Derby County, and we won 2-1. He got both goals, and from then on, Thierry Henry was the main man. From that game when he scored 2 goals that season, he couldn't stop scoring, and afterwards, that's when it clicked. And Thierry Henry, for me, the reason why I always say Henry over Bergkamp is because of the things I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd lose with him inside.
No.
I didn't think we'd lose.
No. I mean, I say Bergkamp because of his all-round vision and because of how he can control the ball and the pictures he used to see before the ball come to him. And that's why I like Bergkamp, because I've never seen a player that just because also I don't think Henry would have been the player he was if he wasn't alongside Bergkamp. Bergkamp helped him become the player he was.
There's the classic statement, wasn't there, from Bergkamp, right? Towards the end of his career, right? He made that statement. It's an interview on TV, and he said, somebody said to him, I think it was John Motson actually, and he said to him, your link-up play with Henry is like telepathic. And Bergkamp went, yeah, I know where he is.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing.
And I know where he's going to be. I just got to pass the ball. And the rest is down to Henry. And it was like, get out of here, man.
But that defence...
Be up to you.
But even that invincible defence, because we was very, very attacking team. We was very attacking, very quick, getting the ball forward, very, very attacking. So we was very attack-minded because of the goals we scored that season. But again, you know, we've got to give praise to the defence as well and some of the midfielders, because we only conceded 28 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So considering how much flair we had in the team, we still only conceded 28 goals, which wasn't a lot considering that most of those players were attack minded, you know. So I mean, the midfield we had at the time, the central midfield, and that was just.
You know, I'm laughing.
Go on.
It's not you both of you. That was the season when Abramovich first bought Chelsea, 2013-2014, and he bought everyone.
Yeah.
He used to buy players just to stop other teams from buying them.
When we bought Mutu,
he
bought Crespo, he bought Makalele, Jeremy, Glenn Johnson, Joey Cole.
Yeah,
he bought everyone.
Yeah,
and everyone thought that. Everyone was thinking, what the hell's going on here, mate?
But that's when Chelsea, that's Chelsea's history, isn't it? From 2003 from 2000.
And you know what? It was
until then, they were just a bang average team.
It was a pleasure to beat them when they spending all that money. It wasn't so much a pleasure. It was just as much pleasure beating Sir Alex Ferguson's team. But that when you mentioned about all the, you know, talking about Henry and those players, Abramovich, remember. We weren't ready for Chelsea's revolution. We knew it was inevitable it was going to happen. But for that season, it was a pleasure to win it the right way. However, one thing I would say, that team should have won the treble.
Yeah.
Quadruple.
Yeah.
2 semi-finals, FA Cup semi-finals, League Cup semi-final, playing the kids.
I can't believe we didn't get the treble, to be honest.
Then losing to Chelsea in the quarterfinals of the Champions League at home.
Yeah.
And then at least
I know.
That leads
a lot of those invincible players still say today, Kenny, that they underachieved.
Yeah, of course they did. Because they did. But you know another thing.
Because they didn't bring the Holy Grail, did they? They didn't bring the Champions League.
There was a week though. It was actually one of the biggest weeks of our season. You think about it. The Saturday we were all at Villa Park. And Man United beat us in the semi-final. Paul Scholes scored, and Man United just made themselves difficult to beat. And then 3 days later, second leg of the quarterfinals of the Champions League at home, 1-1 at Chelsea. We thought all we had to do was turn up and win. The rest, you know what happened. But 3 days later, Henry scores a hat-trick against Liverpool. And one of them was the best goals we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
There's that crazy. Do you remember that, Jez? That crazy week? Crazy 6 days. In Arsenal's history, where we went out of 2 cups, and then Henry reminded everyone that he was still one of the greatest players in world football, and that we were the team to beat in the because everyone thought
that invincible squad had Pascal Sigan in it, didn't it?
Yeah,
It had. But you know what? You know who we haven't mentioned? Remember anyone? All I've got to say to any Spurs fans watching this: Google Pixel advert.
Yeah, Sol Campbell, mate. Oh, what a defender. Brilliant.
Guys, we've been going for an hour and a half. I don't want to drag everybody in. Right, before we, not the last 10 minutes, let's say, I know Kenny's got something to say. I know what he's going to fucking say. I know what he's going to say. So, people, right, I've got a couple of starred comments before we go on this one. This one here from Liam. Jez, pin us at the end. 91 kit or the Invincibles kit? Don't want to interrupt. No, not at all, mate. You're always welcome. Between Kenny and DJ. Go on, mate. What's the kit? Best one for you.
Oh, I think the Invincible kit. I think for me, me personally, the Invincible kit. Yeah, I like that one.
For me, it has to be the 91 away kit, the bruised banana. I love that kit.
No, I didn't. 91 was a brilliant year for me because it was the birth of my first son as well. So there you go.
Well,
my first son was born in 91, so it was brilliant all round for me.
That was the same year as the second. That was the same year as my second daughter was born. Who not 2 years ago for Christmas said to her mother, I want to buy Dad something. Bearing in mind, she was born in fucking Highbury, right? Bearing in mind this, right? She was born in Highbury Hill, yeah.
Hill.
Right. Bearing in mind this, she said to me, so not to me, to her mother. She said, I want to buy Dad something from the football club. And she went, my wife went, yeah, what do you want to buy? And I don't know, something that he would like from the football club. And she actually turned around and said, what is it? Is it Chelsea or Arsenal? What? The wife told me afterwards. And I went, you were born in bloody Highbury. You were born
Say no more, Jez.
Highbury Hill. You were born opposite the fucking West Stand, right? When we had our place there. Anyway, that's another story. Kenny, your favourite shirt, 91 or the Invincibles?
I like the 91 team. You know why? I like Arsenal playing in red socks. It really gets up my nose when we wear white socks. I can't stand us in white socks.
Yeah, good point,
I don't know who had this idea that
good point.
Arsenal are red and white, but we have to wear white socks.
Yeah.
I don't know when it started. I know it didn't just start in the Arsene Wenger era. I think it started when George Graham's last season as manager, when we had striped socks, striped red and white socks, and then afterwards, I think the Bruce Rioch year season, I think it was white socks, and it was white socks for a while, and then it seems every season we alternate between white and red. Please, can Arsenal Football Club, you're watching? I was brought up red shirts,
white shorts,
white shorts, red socks. Please stop wearing white socks.
Yeah, I know, and please stop cutting holes in the back of them as well. It does my head in.
That's bollocks. I don't get that. Anyway, Abby says, "Hi boys, worst ever Arsenal captain, top 5."
Oh God, I can't think. They've all been pretty good. I mean, I'll go back to Frank McClintock. I mean, what a captain he was.
Yeah.
Tony Adams, say no more. You can't call him one of the worst captains.
Captain.
Sorry?
Captain. Did you like William Gallas?
No, I didn't. I didn't like Gallas as a captain. See, with Odegaard, he's not a captain, So he's been made captain, but to me, he shouldn't be captain. That should be Gabriel. So Odegaard's got to be in with one. Odegaard, Gallas.
What? Koscielny?
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting these up against the likes of Adams and Vieira and all that, and none of them.
Like someone like Bamiyang, the way it ended.
Yeah.
To
See,
Obviously,
to me as a
yeah.
me when I look at captains, Kenny, I look at captains that will absolutely go through anything and get players. You know, I don't want a facade. I want someone to actually do it. You know what I mean? I don't want all this arm waving and all this facade. You know, so when you look at Gallas and people like that, Aubameyang, no, yeah, they've got to be up there with some of my worst captains. But you know, it's difficult, really, isn't it? Because
Aaron's got a very interesting point about Henry as a captain. He felt that Henry wasn't a captain in a sort of traditional sense, but he got the captain. He said, I think what Aaron's saying is that Henry got the captain because he was their best player, but was he a captain?
yeah, this is what I think. This is what I think. A lot of the top managers, a lot of the managers go now. They just because they happen to be the most influential player or their so-called best players, they make them captain. Some of the best players don't make the best leaders. You know, Roy Keane weren't the most flairist, skillful player, but what a fantastic leader. You know,
That's a good point, actually.
You know, there's a big difference between a captain and a leader, and a leader on the pitch is quite willing to change the way the game's being played, sticking two fingers up to the manager and taking a bollocking after the game, you know, and they're happy to take that because I know Tony Adams did numerous of times with Arsene Wenger and George Graham, you know, where he went, hang on a minute, fuck you, this is, excuse my French, guys, F you, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what we're doing, you know, and I think he said in interviews gone past, you know, he had to take the consequences after the game for going against the manager.
Sorry, cut in. But DJ and Jez, with the micromanagers we have now in football, like Pep, Mikel, and Amorim, I don't think there's room for a captain like traditional captains.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to be a leader.
You know, obviously, like you talk about captains, Ron Yates, McClintock, Brian LeBone, you know, those sort of like big leaders, Roy Keane. Tony Adams.
See, captains nowadays, I'll tell you what captains, all captains do nowadays with these micromanagers. You're there for the toss of the coin at the start of the game. That's all you're there for.
About it.
You're there to toss the coin at the start of the game to see what end you're playing up and a penalty shootout. That's all you're there for. You're just a toss of a coin. Whereas back in our day,
the old pennant, you know,
back in our day, they weren't just captains; they were leaders, and this is what the game lacks nowadays. The game lacks true leaders on the pitch.
Mate, I totally endorse that, mate.
They're coin tossers.
They are. That's all they are. It's not what it was. Darren, big up, Darren, mate. Thank you for your super chat. That was a great stream, fellas. Thank you, mate. At least we've got a real one there that appreciates. And there's been some absolute real people in here tonight. We've had some idiots, which is sad because I think it takes away a little bit from my guests that are real ones. 170 Gunner, do you support Real Madrid? Mate, what fucking kind of stupid comment is that? What is the point of making that comment when you've got a debate about the 91 and the Invincible teams? Yeah, get out of here, man. Seriously. So we come to the end of it. DJ,
I'll wrap it up, guys. Both two fantastic teams. Both gave me different joys and different memories. Very good memories. I've seen some great players from both teams, great captains, stroke leaders. I mean, I look at today's team. If I was to compare today's team with the 91 team and the Invincibles, there ain't many of them players getting into any of them squads.
No, good point.
Apart from probably Gabriel, Saliba. Yeah, I'm really struggling. You know, as much as I like Declan Rice, and I'm a massive Declan Rice fan, you know, because I think he's old school. He would struggle probably to get in to a 91 team or an Invincible team, and he'd probably admit that if he watched the tapes. But one other player I thought was underrated was Ray Parlour.
Yeah.
I thought Ray Parlour was very underrated. He was unlucky; he never got any. I think he only got. Was it Kenny? You might know this. Did he only get about 2 or 3 England caps?
Yeah, Dave. He asked for a short back of sides, mate.
You know, but he was great. That goal in the FA, I'll never forget that that goal against the Chelsea, mate, in the FA Cup. That was just.
I was actually right behind the goals. I was actually in row 5 in Cardiff when Ray Parlour and Anders Limpar scored those goals.
Yeah.
So,
Rocky Rocastle, bless up. God bless him. Brilliant. And before we wrap up, you know, this is nothing to do with the Invincibles or the 04 team, but you cannot, as much as Ian Wright does get on my nerves sometimes as a pundit, what a striker he was, Ian Wright, as well. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But Kenny, Jez, do you want to know? Would you like to know who, if I was to pick one team, who I'd rather have, the Invincible or 91?
Go on, please. I want to know.
Even though my best player, Maldini and Bergkamp, are my 2 best players of all time. I think if we go on goals conceded, squad depth, the pitches they played on, and grinding out results, I would probably lean towards the 91 team. Even though the Invincibles were very, very special.
I'm with you. Kenny,
what do you reckon, Kenny? Kenny?
Right.
I know Kenny's got something
Right,
else.
I've got something controversial to say.
Go on, mate.
Neither of these teams are the best teams I've seen at Arsenal. Arsene Wenger's 2001, 2002 team that did the double is the best team I've ever seen. They played the best football. We had 3 goalkeepers, all got medals. Taylor, Wright, and Seaman. Taylor retired that season, didn't play every game. Sol Campbell was brought that season. Robert Pires was the best player in Europe before he got his knee done. Thierry scored great goals. Dennis Bergkamp scored a goal from the gods. But second to the Invincibles second to the 2002 team is the 91 team, George Graham's 91 team, and then the Invincibles. I thought what people didn't realise, in 2002, we didn't lose an away game. 3 games at home. We lost to Chelsea, and Newcastle, that side. But we were unbeaten away from home.
I was going to say that. Yeah. No, that was some team, Kenny. No, what can I say?
And Anfield that season, when we won 2-1 at Anfield, Connery played in midfield.
Yeah, I hear you. Brody, 89 team for me, the way they caught up Liverpool. It's the other way, mate. It's Liverpool.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Yeah. But Brody, it was a good shout, though. The 89 was very memorable.
Yeah, it's an amazing team, but it was actually Liverpool that caught the Arsenal.
Yeah.
Kenny, still want you to give me the answer.
Well, the
91
team is a team. The team of all seasons. And it had flair. And I think it's better than the Invincibles. But it's close. Yeah. It's really close.
Yeah.
Because the reason why it's really close, the Invincibles had 3 or 4 players who are all-time Arsenal greats and probably in the top 10
the squad
great Arsenal players.
The squad was so much bigger, man. I mean, he had an extra 14 players to pick from. So
I think, as very, very different. But as I said, I think if you was going into, it was just a different era. And I think with that era, what that 91 team done, with the money spent as well. I mean, David Hillier and Andy Linnigan.
Yeah.
I mean, what he done was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's time, maybe a debate for another day on this one. I've got very, very strong feelings about this, about George Graham and what happened and why he hasn't got a statue. But that's in another day, people.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about Arsenal managers, won't we?
I'm going to do a show about it, and I was going to.
You know what? It's just it's free. There's three iconic managers: Herbert Chapman, George Graham, and Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, they're the three.
And Bertie Mee. Come on, Bertie Mee.
You say Bertie Mee, but when you talk about
he did the first double.
Terry Neal, one of the worst. Kenny Ken, Terry Neal, one of the worst.
Yes.
The thing with Terry Neal was, you know, like I said, he was left some really bad cards. One thing Terry Neal and Donnell did, as much as you criticise them, they left building blocks. They left a youth team and a youth setup that George Graham used for 87 and 89. So you can't.
Yeah.
Although their results, you think about it, all those youngsters that George Graham inherited were giving their head by, you know.
Ron Howell was a top coach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He wasn't a brilliant manager, but he was a brilliant coach.
Yeah.
And look at his son now. At Newcastle. Say no more.
So this is going to be a channel. I will do a show about this. Maybe, I don't know, month time, something like that.
Yeah. All right.
We do about the Arsenal managers, because that would be quite interesting, actually. I've got my.
I think what it is that I think the managers. I think it's probably going to be a thing. And no disrespect to Herbert Chapman, but we lived Wenger. We lived George Graham. We all three of us lived it.
I'm not going to talk about George Graham, Herbert Chapman.
Yeah.
None of us were alive at the time. But I bring into that debate Bertie Mee, Terry Neal, George Graham, Bruce Rioch.
Oh,
you got to bring Bruce Rioch in because
he signed Dennis Bergkamp.
Jez, you might as well bring in Billy White as well.
No,
why not? Because you know Billy White, he was a great England captain, great at Wolves, but he had 4 years as Arsenal manager from 62 to 66.
Yeah, okay, fair. I'll get that. I can.
But listen, I'm not knocking Bruce Rioch too much because he bought the great man. He bought the great man to the team.
He brought in David Black, didn't he? And David Black.
Arsene Wenger had the French market to himself.
Yeah. Played in goal.
It benefited Arsenal.
I'll tell you what, Jez, would be another good shout. All the forwards of Arsenal, as we're struggling to 4-1 now, all the forwards over the years, and I'm going back to Charlie Nicholas and people like that.
Yeah, we do that one. We do that one.
The thing about it, right? Sorry, guys. The thing about these forwards, when you think about Arsenal forwards, we've only had really two. I can only think of three superb forwards on a consistent basis: Alan Smith, Ian Wright, and Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Michael McDonald should have been, but his knees gave way, didn't they? In the 70s.
Frank Stapleton was some far forward.
Oh, God, Frank Stapleton. You're doing it against Frank Stapleton. I view Frank Stapleton the same way I view Cesc Fabregas. Frank Stapleton, hate the man.
Really?
He left that club to go Man United.
Oh, yeah. But what about it? I'll throw another. I know Jezzy's dying to go. I mean, we could talk all night.
I can go.
Listen, no, we have got to go.
We have got to go. Yeah,
we have got to go. But there's another. When we get onto the topic, Jez, and you can list it. I thought Tony Woodcock was one of the most underrated strikers of all time.
Yes,
that guy had pace. You say about Henry, mate. That guy had pace.
And he had soldier's boots for a left foot. Bloody hell, he hit his shot so hard to that left foot.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to talk about strikers, I will do a show. Probably let's leave it for another month. Monthly thing. But
what we mix the strikers and the managers together because we probably
we can do that, and I can bring up people like Peter Marinello. You know what I mean?
Oh, Paul Mariner.
Paul Mariner was
effective-ish
for us.
Yeah. Lee Chapman, Kenny Ken. You liked him, didn't you?
Oh, last night.
Oh,
Last night.
Hey?
Fucking hell.
God. Do we have
I'll
to?
tell you what, though. You say about Lee Chapman, he'd have buried one of them yesterday. I'll tell you.
He would have done.
He wouldn't have buried them. He would have bundled everyone in, including the goalkeeper. That's what he had done. He's a big man.
Oh, we've had some howlers over the years as well, guys.
Yeah. Mind you, for one season, I still say it. Adi Boyle could have been our Didier Drogba if he wasn't
yes
falling out with people because he was that good.
Yes, yeah, but we're Jez, sorry, mate. We can save it to another time.
Save it for another time.
No, not at all. DJ, as always, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Sir.
No, thank you very much, Jez. I just want to say before we go, Jez, thank you for having me on. I was looking forward to this from the moment you announced it and invited me, and it's lived up to its billing. It's been absolutely brilliant. Kenny Ken, always a pleasure, my friend, and I've got to bump into you at the game one day.
I definitely. Well, I go to every game. So whereabouts you sit?
Yeah, and me. So I'm there Saturday. So
where do you sit?
You will have to.
Where do you sit?
Get through 114.
Oh, 114. I'm in like block 3.
Yeah. Well, I've stood next to you. I'll never forget it. It was we played Aston Villa.
What year?
Gerrard was in charge, so it must have been two seasons ago.
I think I remember.
Remember me, didn't you? Remember me. My boys, I gave my ticket.
Sweet scored from a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Because
you remember Kenny Ken. So get me number off of Lee. Yeah, Lee's got my number. Jez has got my number, and we'll sort it out.
You know what I was trying to say, right? You know who I met for the first time in the flesh?
Go on.
Your best friend, Jez's best mate, my sister from Finsbury Park, Sophie.
Really?
Yeah. She came over from America for that game.
Nice. When I was doing my history, we didn't realise, but Jez and my family practically were next door neighbours.
Now, I was just going to ask you this one. I'm not going to ask great details, but I was chatting the other day to my sister.
Yeah.
And you said about the Fosters.
Yes.
Right. I was chatting, and my sister knows nothing about fucking football, but she knows a lot. She's done a lot.
Surely she didn't know my mum or one of my aunts. She
was questioning me because my sister's done for the last 30 years. She's written a book down here. It's only it's not published about Arsenal, not Arsenal, but about the Collins family and everything like blah blah blah. So I was chatting to her on the phone. I said, "Do you remember the Fosters?" I vaguely remember the name. She went,
"Yeah."
Yeah, she said, "Yeah."
No,
I think I know.
No, what a small world, eh, Kenny?
I think I know the sister.
Wow.
I went, all right, I'm not going to mention any names on here because
no,
public. And she went, yeah, and she went, yeah, because I said, did you remember the sweet shop? She said, yeah, of course we remember the bloody sweet shop.
Yeah.
She turned round to me and she said, if you remember, on a Friday afternoon, I used to work in there after school.
Wow.
And I was like, right, okay, fair enough.
That's incredible, isn't it?
There you go. I've got the book down. Hang on, let me dig it out. She's written this. It's all about the art. Oh, fuck it. Hang on. Oh, no, it's this one. Hang on. My life. It's her life.
That's brilliant, mate.
All about Arsenal. About North London.
That's lovely.
And all that. And everything.
Yeah.
I've got a copy of it. And everything like that. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But the interesting thing is, guys, that she said to me, when she was doing the research, my grandfather first saw Arsenal in 1924, right? He was born not in Islington, just outside, but his father came from Wales,
Mm.
from a steel factory, and he worked at the Arsenal foundry in 1882.
Wow.
Right. And she said, we don't know, but he may have been one of the first Arsenal supporters in 1886. We don't know.
Wow.
We don't got no proof at all. Maybe he was. Maybe
he was, mate. Something to hang on to, isn't it? That's amazing. Imagine
maybe
that.
he watched Arsenal in 1886. We don't know.
Incredible.
It's a nice thought, but
Yeah.
anyway.
No, as I said, it's been an absolute pleasure, Jez. Thank you very much. Kenny Ken, I will bump into, we will meet up.
You know what? I've really enjoyed this because, you know,
it's refreshing.
It's refreshing because there isn't much between both teams, and there isn't probably much between both managers. I think if Arsene Wenger left before his sell-by date, he might have just gone above George.
Yeah, it's a shame he hung on, isn't it, Wenger? I've never been in the camp, and even when I was towards Wenger's old days, I wasn't one of them fans, and I'll be truthfully honest, I wasn't one of them fans that was sticking the knife in. I knew we had to change. I knew his time was up, but I was never disrespectful to Wenger and all of that, because some of the football that I saw played under him, I'll never forget in my lifetime.
100%.
And I can't knock a manager for giving me that much joy of watching football. I understand he was past his sell-by date and he stayed that little bit longer, but I never once ripped into him or slagged him off or anything like that. I was just one of these that said, yeah, he's got to go. His time's up. He's done brilliant. Thank you very much. Move on. But I was never one for slagging him off or ripping into him and things like that.
To be fair, nor was I.
Because as I said, the team he built and what he gave me was just complete joy.
Oh, definitely. I think that's the thing. We saw football, we saw players we've never thought we'd see at Arsenal.
Oh yeah. And
I
think the problem is, guys, before we go, I think watching that team has really done us in for the rest of our Arsenal life, because every team we see now and every manager we see, we expect to see what we saw back in the Wenger days.
That's a good thing, though. I think that's a good thing.
And you can't. Yeah, it is a good thing. It is a good thing because you know your expectations has got to be there. And my expectations for Arsenal is win every game. I want to win every trophy. I want to win everything that's going and everything else. But the point is that team was so good. To have them players and have that team now, we might have to wait that little bit longer. Hopefully it will come along again, but we might have to wait that little bit longer.
I think so. I think
so as well. But decisions have to be made for the good of the football club. And
it has to be made. It has to be made pretty quick. And as I said, I go back to the summer window, and I can't believe we never came.
I saw it coming, DJ. I saw it coming.
We still ain't done nothing, boys. We still haven't done nothing now.
We ain't done nothing, and I still say, Jez, unfortunately, I can see us again going this season trophyless, and I would be I'm very annoyed about that, because when that summer window was made, I knew from the end of August, from the moment we kicked that ball, I said we haven't done the business in the summer, we haven't brought in the right players. This is not going to be our season. No. And it's now coming to haunt us, unfortunately. Again. Shame. It is a shame because, as I said, it's
the worry is, guys. The worry is that my worry is if we don't win any silverware, which I don't think we're going to win, I can see a few players rocking out the club, which is going to be.
Oh, absolutely.
They have to go.
I've said it from Kenny, Jez. I've said it from the start. We was in a rebuild when Arteta came in. If you think this is a rebuild, watch what happens if we don't win any silverware. The rebuild's going to be even bigger. It's going to be worse, and it's going to be even bigger, unfortunately. But
we just need another manager to be that to rebuild. I think 5 years at a football club, even if you're successful, is probably about right, and then you've got to think of maybe.
I think so. I think with modern football nowadays, I think 6 years is about your shelf life as a manager now in the modern day football. If I was an owner of a football club, I wouldn't be giving managers long contracts.
No,
don't. I think Pep. I still say Pep. 2026. That's him done.
Yeah,
as at Man City.
Yeah, definitely. But Jez, it's been an absolute privilege. Kenny Ken, I will catch up with you. We'll exchange numbers and I'll catch up with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because Lee, I'll get me your number of Lee. I think Lee, I'll get off Lee.
Yeah, well, Jez has got me number. You go through him.
Got it.
And then because I'm definitely there Saturday, and hopefully we're not suffering.
Then Zagreb, I'm going to be there at Zagreb. I'll tell you what, getting very quickly onto the Champions League, I would like us to put Zagreb to bed and get that game won. Then hopefully, if the results are right, we can then ease off and rest a few players in our next game.
Oh, for Girona?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Good point.
That's what I'm hoping. So that Zagreb game, although people ain't really looking at that at the moment, I think that's a very, very important game because he'll want to get that done in the bag, get qualified, because he won't want to have to pick a team to rely on the last game to get us through.
I'll make you right.
So I think that game is very important against Zagreb, and I will be there. Kenny Ken?
Stay there.
All right, mate. We'll get me number up with Jez and we'll catch up. Jez, thank you very much, my friend.
Jez,
full of praise. God bless to you all. God bless to everyone listening. God bless to everyone that's taken part tonight. Thank you very much. And big up, Jez. Smash the likes for Jez.
It's been an amazing chat. I hope people have enjoyed it. I'm sure many have. We've had a few idiots. But
you're always going to get idiots, mate.
Before I go, I had no idea that Hendon Gooner is Dutch.
No,
I didn't either. I didn't either. But big up, Hendon. DJ, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my friends. I'm out. See you guys. You take care. All the best. God bless everyone. Take it easy.
Bless you all.
Kenny, please shout out your socials, mate. Where we can
I'm at Kenny Ken 1972 on Instagram. And I'm currently watching the Man United game and they're 1-0 down. What a metamorphosis, eh?
Southampton. Mate, thank you as always. You're an absolute fucking legend in my book.
Thank you very much.
And great facts again tonight, as always. Take care, mate. Speak to you soon. And we'll see you all very later. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to the mods for sorting the idiots out, as always. And it spoilt the show a little bit when you get idiots. But there we go. Kenny, thank you, my friend. Take care. We're out.
Take care, mate.
See you soon. Cheers, people.
See you. Bye.